So what a great thought, Srini. In fact, how did this thought of Catalyst really germinate? Because from mainstream media, we jargonize a lot. And for the uninitiated, for the newcomers, and for the large young population, which needs to learn about financial literacy, I think we have shortcomings because we cater to people like you who are so well entrenched in business jargons. So I saw that need, and this alternate media is doing a great work. But how did this idea germinate? And you're also promoting that whole class of financial literacy.
Nisha, I think the idea came about, first of all, when, I have two daughters and they don't consume anything. I read the physical newspaper at home and they don't see any of these things. So that's the first thing that struck me when I observed the next generation. The other aspect is that we see vulnerability all around us. Yes. At our home, our driver, people who help us, our staff. The digital world has overtaken their capability to really take care of themselves. Money is moving faster, and there are a number of things that people can, misuse in this digital media. And we see that every day. And we also see regulators now become far more conscious. But on the other hand, there are, fantastic content creators who are calling out the scams, who are calling out and helping people, manage their digital life better. And the inspiration was many of the large global firms traditionally have always have an award for a book of the year. Yes. So if you have a Goldman Sachs book of the year or McKinsey book of the year, at the end of the day, the book is a source of knowledge for whoever is reading it, whatever be his subject matter of interest. But if the next generation is consuming knowledge through digital media, yes, then it is, as a large financial house which is managing people's money, it was our responsibility to do something different, to recognize people who are imparting that knowledge, who are guiding that people. And the social media actually is much more than a passive medium. Investors, people who consume that content are able to actually connect with the people. So the responsibility for some of the media creators is far greater. Yes. And we thought that we should call that out and, give them the recognition that is due. And of course, tell them that the responsibility that they carry.
That's right. And in fact, it's also about financial inclusion, which will not be complete by the government if financial literacy is not there. So Srini, talk to us about the impact that these alternate media and that literacy is really having on the larger ecosystem in terms of personal finance, because personal finance understanding is a financial empowerment in itself.
See, financialization of all assets is a reality. Real estate at got financialized now. Of course, in the current environment, our grandmothers are looking much better than most of us because they invested so much in gold. But the reality is that the digital medium is the medium through which investors are going to put their money to work going forward. And from our perspective, anybody who is educating them, even simple concepts like, how do you make a habit of saving? It's a very simple concept. But to guide them through every small step of that, creating that habit of saving, is an important step for people to sort of imbibe so that they can have a much better future. From impact point of view, I think if people are able to make that habit of saving and are guided to the right kind of savings, to my mind, earlier in the day we had a panel discussion about domestic pools of capital. Yes. We have to have that domestic pool of capital going into savings so that that savings can be put to productive use.
Every drop matters.
This is a little bit of comment on the gold, which is not productive capital. But if you are able to get into financial savings and you are able to do it right, that money actually goes into more productive use. And that has an ecosystem impact.
No, every drop counts, and I'm glad that you brought about the domestic pools of capital, which has been your very favorite subject for a very long time. We've discussed that a lot. But to my point also that I gathered that it's not about the following, it's not about the number of likes, how big the platform is, but you actually judge these participants on the basis of absolute content and meritocracy. How did that happen? And how was this whole experience of analyzing what matters most?
No, I think it was fantastic. First of all, we got more than 600 entries. And as you saw in the video, 19 different languages all across the country. So what that tells you is that while content creators may have millions of followers, everybody who is a creator, who is making an impact in his or her smaller ecosystem is important to the system. That is the first point. From our perspective, this was not about, the award could have gone to somebody who's got 1.5 million followers. But that person is already discovered. The people are already benefiting from it. But there are equally a number of other people who are doing really good quality work. And our job, and particularly, because of the way our country is, it is quite natural that certain languages will have much larger following, certain languages may not have. Yes. And we were very surprised with the kind of entries that we got. And we were very glad that in the shortlist that you just saw, first of all, from a diversity point of view, there is a content creator who's creating in Tamil, another one creating in Kannada, and the third one is in Hindi. Yes. And the best part, we just got through Women's Day. 2 out of the 3 are women. So we are very glad in terms of the outcome that this whole exercise has revealed itself, and the EY which did the audit, and then the jury. I think for the jury members, when we were discussing this, it was an eye-opener for them as well to see content creators in multiple languages and to be able to understand that most people, we are living in an urban bubble here. Yes. And a little bit of India came into that room.
Oh, that's a great thought, and I would just add to that during COVID, we all learned DIY culture, do-it-yourself culture, and what this medium has done is teach every step, as you said, in that financial planning on their own. So that's a very big contribution, actually, that is done, and I'm so glad that you brought this up because mainstream media cannot take the full burden of educating financially everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Srini.
Thank you.
Thanks.